once upon a time, roughly speaking, 12 years from the time I'm making this video, I sat on my couch in my apartment. I was 19 at the time. It was my first year having my own place, being alone. And so I could finally do things that I wanted to do for one reason or another. And I wanted to do them alone. Now, just quickly, did I mention? Yes, I sat down on the couch with a bottle of vodka. So this is the thing I'm referring to here that I wanted to do alone, because I actually only drank for just a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, 4 years maybe, right? I only started when I was 18, and I think I had stopped by the time I was 21, 22. See, because I grew up in the Middle East, to Muslim parents, to a Muslim family in a Muslim country, it is forbidden to drink alcohol. And so I didn't really dabble with alcohol. I mean, I grew up there, so it was very hard to get it. Okay, that's one thing. And I was like I left the Middle East when I was 13. So I still wasn't even at an age that I was curious in it. But even in Canada, when we moved to Canada, I still wasn't interested in alcohol. I was like, no, I was still like kind of religious at the time. Only when I was 18 and all my friends have been drinking now for 2-3 years, I was like, I really just want to fit in. And I started drinking and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Okay, but I just did it to fit in. I hated alcohol. I just did it to fit in. And I liked that it gave me courage, because at the time, this is coming in the story. But at the time I was shy. I had insecurities coming in this, bear with me. We'll talk about what they were. But anyway, I liked that it gave me courage. I was kind of cowardly at the time, and it gave me courage. And I would be able to go talk to a girl, for instance, or I would be able to speak up my mind. Because believe it or not, at the time, I wasn't outspoken, and I was afraid to speak my mind because I didn't want to get criticized by my friends, particularly. Okay, so I had only been started getting into drinking for just 1 year at the time. And I had never done it alone, and it was something I wanted to do. I wanted to just sit by myself in my apartment, which it was my first year. I was like, one of the first things I did, I smoked weed there, okay? That was one of the first things. But then I was like, you know what? I want to drink alone. And I had the bottle of vodka, and I prepared the scene. I was like, yes, finally, I can do this activity by myself, because I always, whenever I did it, the prior year, it was with friends in a social setting. So I started drinking. And man, I started crying. Now, why did I cry? It's common for people to cry. I cried because I felt miserable. I loathed myself. I hated myself. I hated who I was. I hated the Saeed character and who he had become at that point. I hated myself. And I was crying, and I felt like this hate towards myself, you're pathetic, Saeed, you're pathetic. And I was crying, and I contemplated for a little bit of time. I contemplated what it would be like for me to kill myself. This wasn't the first time I contemplated that, okay? But this time I really contemplated it for real. Like when I was a teenager, early teens, right? Early, like even a little before, actually, preteen. When I was preteen and early teens, I would say things like, between me and myself, I'd be like, I just want to die right now. And it wasn't too serious, but it was just like mostly because my dad would beat me up, or something like I would get in a fight with someone. I would get jumped by several people, let's say, and I would just feel like a humiliation. Like, let's say when my dad hits me, particularly, that's more than anything. I would feel humiliated after, and because I would feel this humiliation, I would just go cry myself in bed, and I would be like, I just want to kill myself right now. Or I want to kill my dad. Either one would do just perfect for me. But, I was just like, yeah, I was a preteen, early teens, and I wasn't really going to do it. But I was 19 at the time, and I was like, at this particular story that I'm thinking, I was like, hey, maybe I should just do it. I just considered it. I didn't sit on it for too long, but I just considered it. You're an adult now. You could just, when you're younger, when you're a preteen, when you're 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, I know some do it, but you just consider it, but then you're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. But you know, when you're like late teens, early 20s, when you become an adult, you really consider these things deeper, right? Like you're like, I could just do it right now. Like I could just do it because you feel this more of sense of autonomy, right? I could just do it. And I considered this for a second. I considered it. And I didn't sit on it for too long, but I just kept crying that day. I just couldn't look. You know what? I couldn't even look in the mirror because I hated the image that would pop up. Now, why? Why did I hate myself so much? Why did I consider killing myself? Why did I cry because I hated myself? I felt humiliation. I felt there's no point in living. I felt like unloved. Well, I can tell you a few things that I remember, but as a child, I actually now kind of, I see this in my own behavior. I'm becoming more and more like myself as a child, because as a child, between like anywhere from 2 to like not 8, 9, I was kind of similar to how I am now. Outspoken, loud, but not loud and it's like, and like just more like I speak my thoughts out loud. I was confident. I was quite the philosopher. I used to ask my mom from a very young age, who created God? I had similar qualities that I have now. I confidently spoke my mind. I felt confident. I didn't feel this humiliation or anything. Even though my dad would still beat me up. But again, why do you think? So what happened is, as I got into preteen, 10, 11, right around there, I started to binge eat, my traumas, those traumas of being physically abused, of having, sometimes I would get in fights in the street and I would be jumped by several kids. This is why later on I got into weightlifting and wrestling. I'm like, I'm gonna defend myself here. You know, no one's gonna fuck with me. And yeah, so I think around 10, around preteens, some of these things began to take a toll on me. And then from about age 10, preteens, about 10, until that night with the vodka, when I was in my apartment, when I was 19, I had developed further traumas. So I guess due to being physically abused, due to feeling humiliation, and then I started to deal with it. I got chubby for like 3 years. I was chubby from age 10 to 13. I even have pictures to prove it. Anyway, my traumas began to grow, and I started to become shy, which actually now looking at because when I was in Qatar a couple of years ago, I watched videos of me when I was 5. Man, I was like this, just like same as you see in these videos, just confident, speaking out loud all my thoughts, asking my mom, why is this blue? Mom, why is that? Mom, why? You know what I mean? But something happened, I guess, something happened, like let's say the physical abuse, the humiliation. It's I guess every time, because, I started getting beaten up, and by the way, I have zero resentment towards my dad. My dad himself was beaten up by his dad. He thought he did what he thought was best. I have nothing but compassion towards my dad. I'm just telling you this how it was. It's quite humiliating, I'll tell you, to be like violently abused, okay? Like with belts. Like if you grew up in the Middle East in the 90s, there's a good chance you got the belt treatment. Your dad would just take his belt out and just hit you. Everybody did it. It wasn't just my dad, most Middle Eastern dads did that. The belt, there was like a specific drawer for like basically weapons to beat your children, okay? And I was the oldest and I got it the hardest. I was the guinea pig of some sort. So, what was I saying here? Where was I? Yeah, it's quite humiliating to be physically abused, like as a child, and feel like helpless. Just helpless. You can't do anything about it. You're this little thing and you have this like giant person just beating you up mercilessly. It's humiliating. So I guess that humiliation combined with other things, but I feel like that was one of the main reasons. As I got into preteens and my ego began to develop and my sense of personality and who I am began to develop, I started to like feel like I'm unworthy. All this humiliation over and over and over. So anyway, one thing leads to another, and I started getting chubby. I started to develop man tits, and I would be like really shy and really self-conscious to go swimming, and then my friends would make fun of me because of the man titties. Now I got like muscular titties, so I guess I made up for that later on. Maybe that's why I was so obsessed with I was so obsessed with particularly working on my chest, right? Anyway, so I turned it around later, but yeah, so I guess one humiliation after another. See, it starts in your childhood, then you kind of just get into this vicious cycle. So yeah, I get into preteens, and later on I started to get chubby. I started to, I guess, handle those new upcoming emotions, and you're becoming a teenager. And another thing that started to bother me is I couldn't even like look a girl in the eyes, because again, growing up in the Middle East, the man and woman are separated. I didn't know how to communicate with girls. It was forbidden to just talk to girls and blah blah blah. And so anyway, I started to develop another trauma, which is like, I can't even talk to a girl, and so one thing led to another, and here I was 15, 16, 17. I started to improve myself. I started to wrestle, started lifting weights. I remember I held the record for most bench press in my gym class, when I was like 16. So I started to improve myself. I started to dress like a mobster, started to get into these like mob movies, and I started to feel like I'm the shit. I started to work out, I started to take care of my physical appearance, but something inside of me was I still couldn't talk to girls. I had a lot of girls interested in me in high school, but I just didn't even know how to go and approach or ask out a girl. And then, anyway, so then another thing that started to get to me when I was 16 or so, my friends were getting late, but I wasn't. And it's my friends in high school would be like, oh, like, I bet Saeed's still a virgin. And I would just feel like self-conscious about it. And I would try to deny it, blah, 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 etc. I didn't want to talk about girls because I didn't even know how to ask out a girl, okay? So anyway, one trauma leads to another. And yeah, it got to about age 19, and I guess all these things had accumulated. Another thing is, because of all these patterns that were happening, all this feeling of like shyness, being self-conscious, all of that things. I remember my friends in high school would be sitting in the car and they'd be talking philosophy, this and that, and I'd just be quiet, even though like I'm pretty intelligent, right? Like I had things to say. I just didn't want to say them because I didn't want my friends to make fun of me, or I didn't want them to be like, yeah, I just didn't want to even like have a discussion because I did not want to embarrass myself. Can you believe that? Can you believe this person used to be like that? For me, I can believe it because I was that person. However, it makes sense to me now that this isn't actually who I am, but rather trauma's adding up. Because now, as I unravel myself, the hero's journey is to become a wise child again. I'm actually becoming more of like my 6-year-old self, 5-year-old self, 7-year-old self, right? Anyway, 19. Here I was, contemplating suicide. Excuse me. Here I was, contemplating suicide with the vodka bottle, just sitting there crying over my misery. And yeah, I didn't do it, obviously, and I didn't sit on that thought for too long. But every now and then I would have that thought. Every now and then I would have it. Now, why am I telling this story? I'm not so sure. I'm not too big on telling past stories. I don't think I've ever told this story. Maybe once in an old video. I don't know. Maybe someone will watch this and they may not necessarily be having suicidal thoughts, but maybe you're just having negative thoughts, self-loathing thoughts, let's say. At best, you're having self-loathing thoughts. At worst, you're having suicidal thoughts. My life turned around. It took a little bit of time there, but by the time I was 23, 4 years later, I completely turned it around. And by the time I was 25, I had a fitness channel, YouTube channel with over 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, I became a symbol of strength, because by that time I also had established myself as like a local gym hero in my area, okay? Because of all the cool things I was doing. And yeah, I really had built up my ego. I had really built up my character at the time, and I had overcome a lot of my traumas by the time I was in my mid-20s. Okay, by 20 age, I would say age 23 to 25 was absolutely transformative. I had overcome all these issues. I got myself a girlfriend, and I was just not shy around women anymore. And yeah, and you know what? Now that I am in a 30-year young man, I'm gonna tell you that's like a past life, right? I am so blessed, so gifted. You know, thank you God for just gifting me with beautiful health, beautiful woman. Okay, just the most beautiful woman ever, the most beautiful loving relationship ever. Beautiful health. I speak my mind. I have strong connection with the source, strong connection with God. I have strong connections with friends, with my brother. Life is wonderful. I live in a beautiful, wonderful place. It's beautiful, man. Life has turned around. It took a little while from that. It took about 4 years for things to begin to really turn around from that point, from when I was 19. But don't give up. That's all I'm saying. Hey, you know, it's true. It's a cliche, but after the darkest part of the night is usually when the sun comes up. It's true. I woke up at 3 a.m. yesterday. I looked around. It was dark. Really dark, right? Hey, it was just another hour before the sun started to get bright. Okay? So I don't know why I'm telling this story. You know, I guess it's a good, you know, people will click on it. You know, they'll click on a title like this. But the fact that a lot of people will click on a title like this, who knows, maybe not. But I know that there is a general interest in these types of topics because I know that at least self-loathing thoughts are pretty common. If not suicidal thoughts, self-loathing thoughts. And I'm telling you right now, you can overcome all of this. It may not be overnight, it may not be instant, it may not be as quick as you would like, but you can overcome all of this. And I can tell you, on the other side of this is what's called the dark night of the soul, by the way. And I can tell you, on the other side of this is a really wonderful existence. Really beautiful. I'm talking about a type of existence where you are happy for no apparent reason. Okay? I'm talking about an existence where you sort of even transcend. Like the way I handled all these self-loathing thoughts and negative thoughts and suicidal thoughts is I began to feed my mind with positive thoughts. You are worthy, you are amazing, you are beautiful, you are this, you are that. So I was able to overcome the negative with the positive. But there is another level to this game, my friends, where you go beyond, like, you go even beyond the egoic part of you that's sort of comparing herself to others and using society as a reference point. And you're just happy to be in the presence of God. Like, you get to a point where just communion with God, just talking to God, just being alive, not even like it goes beyond like, oh wow, I am a beautiful person or I'm a good person. It goes beyond that, you know, because look, to overcome the negative, for most of us, we'll have to bring in the positive. And that's how I overcame a lot of these negative thoughts and negative emotions. But then there's another level where existence is just beautiful. You just look everywhere and there's the presence of God. There's just beauty. There's just, oh wow, feel nice. Hey, you know, I just feel nice. I feel pleasant. I want to help. I want to serve. I want to be the best human I can be to others. I want to serve others. I want to serve plain earth. I want to bring on a new vibration, a more enhanced vibration, a higher vibration. Okay, and we go through different levels, but I'm telling you here, there is light at the end of the tunnel. All these cliches, they're there for a reason. There is. So hold on tight. Okay? Hold on tight. You're being guided. Listen to the guidance. And that's it. I don't know why I told this. So, but maybe it's gonna help somebody out there. Maybe it's going to give some encouragement to somebody out there, okay? Thank you for watching. Thank you, sincere gratitude to our generous donors. I love you guys. Thank you very much. If you would like to make a donation, it is highly appreciated here. There is a link down below in the description. Thank you in advance for all the generous souls. And thank you for all the souls that have donated before. I love you. And What else? One-on-one consulting services. If you are interested, you can book a call down below in the description. Saeed Mobile is my Instagram, and until next time, may the force be with you.